All right, a little introduction for Jovan, best known, I guess, as the Labour candidate who stood against Nigel Farage in Clacton during the general election. What was that like?
I'm not going to lie, it was the toughest thing I've ever done. I had so much fun, met so many brilliant people. The weather was perfect.
Why was it tough?
I mean, he's a tough guy, I can't lie.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I'm quite young, I would say, putting myself forward. It was a million miles an hour happening every day for about 6 weeks. But I enjoyed every single minute of it. I absolutely loved it. So.
And were you the candidate before he stepped into the ring?
Yeah, I always say...
So you didn't see that coming?
No. I always say that he came down and stood against me because I was there first. He must have seen my name and thought, well, I'm going to stand against this young lad. And lo and behold, he did. But yeah, I absolutely loved it, and I hope the chance maybe to get to do it again and speak to the things that I believe in. Yeah,
this was not, to say the least, a safe Labour seat, because it would, if he hadn't taken part, it would have almost certainly gone Tory. Was he nice to you?
He was perfectly pleasant.
Yeah.
We crossed paths, said hello, and so yeah, he's a smooth operator. He knows what to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was perfectly okay actually.
So there, tell us what's going on here.
So this was on election night. After spending the whole day knocking doors and speaking to residents, I donned on my nice suit and arrived at the count in the early hours of the Friday morning, I think it was, and had some hunch after I'd seen the exit poll that Nigel Farage was potentially going to take the seat. But yeah, I mean, what a brilliant experience. I'm so grateful for that opportunity and for the people that voted for me.
I think you were lucky there in a way, because although you were not likely to ever win the seat, and by the way, that takes a bit of pressure off, Angela, to be in the middle of that spectacle is fantastic, isn't it?
What a dramatic learning curve for somebody. It always sounds so patronising, but I really mean it. Just the fact that I've got dresses older than you doesn't mean that I'm patronising you. You know, a dramatic learning curve. You have somebody who is a seasoned player, not only as a politician, but he's a seasoned media player. He knows what to say. He connects with people, maybe not for the right reasons. And you were able to just focus on your beliefs, the things that matter to you. And I'm sure, sound like I'm at parents' evening here, you will become a very fine politician, even all the more so as a consequence of that, because you have had an extraordinary experience.
Well, I like our system, actually. I like that. You know, you've got to come first in a seat, and when you're in that seat, people know you and they own you a bit. If you have a big, list system or something like the Irish got their election, it's just so confusing. Of course, there was the milkshake in Clacton, which was, at the time, I know someone was probably doing this for hits on social media, but in that second where it's thrown, of course, Farage doesn't know that it's a milkshake. It could be acid or something. So. Got to take these things seriously, and she got convicted, that young woman. And what was something else, by the way, I noticed just last week, where I think Starmer went across the floor of the Commons. Did you see this?
Oh, yeah.
So we can see this. This is Starmer just watch him, and he's going over to say something to Farage. And a couple of people said, well, it's obviously quite a warm conversation. He's smiling. And a couple of people said, you should be doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, me and Farage obviously have fundamentally different views and aspirations for the society that we live in. But I think it's really brilliant that we do live in a country where even with your political opponents who you have complete opposition to, you can shake their hand and you can be cordial and polite. That doesn't happen in most cases, most countries around the world.
You think so? You think it's all right for Starmer to be
But we can't
chummy?
lose sight of what we're there for. It's principles, values, it's to stand up for ordinary people. And I don't think that's what Mr. Farage does.
Yeah, OK. So I think there is a difference between being civilised. We're all very courteous when, Sunak, where he wished Starmer all the best, all that kind of stuff. But I think, as Jeremy says, it's quite right. There's a difference between that and going over and almost looks like essentially have a pint later. There was a kind of an extraordinary chumminess, given that they are poles apart politically. They're in the House of Commons. It almost makes somebody who's watching it just think, is it just smoke and mirrors what they're doing? It's just some big dog and pony show, because actually they're such mega chums. It doesn't sit well with me seeing that.
Because Aaron Bastani is on the left of Labour, and he wrote, if Corbyn did something like that with Farage, Starmer supporters would be calling him fascist 2.0.
Exactly.
And red-brown, whatever that means.